El Cajon passed a resolution to comply with federal immigration enforcement.
After voting down the resolution last month, they approved it this time in a 3-2 vote after some revisions. Our Jamie Chambers is in El Cajon for us tonight with what it now means.
The meeting was cleared twice as supporters of the ordinance interrupted the council meeting, shouting at council members who had called them out by name. El Cajon is a community divided as Mayor Bill Wells has pushed an ordinance for 3 meetings, allowing for local law enforcement to be protected if they work to assist with federal authorities in removing immigrants without legal status. After hours of public comment, the new ordinance passed on a 3-2 vote.
Okay, we're live, and I'm going to do the best I can today. As you can tell, I'm a little under the weather. Been avoiding this for a couple weeks now. Our daughter is living with us. Has been sick, and it's fallen to me now. So we'll see how I do. I'm getting through this. Good morning. Let's see who's here. Yeah, Carrie's here. Real life, okay. AC. And anybody else? So, all right. So that was a little clip, just to start the start of my little California stories here. That's El Cajon, California, which is east of San Diego. And that's what said Mayor Bill Wells there. That's my old friend, actually from years ago, who has been the mayor of El Cajon for about 8 years now, I guess. And great guy, great mayor, if you're on the conservative side. But as you can see, that's it just kind of gives you an idea of the battle. And that's going on in California on immigration. And it goes on later to say in that piece that it's true that El Cajon is the first city in San Diego County to do that, to pass a resolution that they're going to cooperate with ICE and on immigration and deportation. But also the sheriff's department, the county sheriffs have also said that they will do this. So, but again, you can see the fight. And this is we're in California. Mike and I are in California, right? Where kind of the rubber meets the road on these kind of things. And this is the fight that's going to take place. So, and it needs to, and I'm not sure how it's going to end up, but more and more Californians are getting fed up with illegal immigration. And later on in this piece in a local news station here, one of the people that was supporting it said, "Oh, we're not against immigration; we're against illegal immigration," which is the same old canard, same old thing that we've got to get past. And we can't seem to get past. But the other side on this wants to portray it that way. So that's the way they're going to portray it. So time and time again, we're going to have to fight that, repeat that. It's like mowing the lawn or shaving. Like I shaved this morning. Not I just shaved yesterday. Why do I do it again? Because, or I mowed the lawn 2 days ago. Why do I have to mow it again? Because it just keeps growing back. So that's going to be the way it is for a while until it goes one way or the other. AC says California has to comply or they be charged by Bondi. Yeah, the officials will. Yeah. And I don't know about anybody actually helping. Yeah, I think that they'll just be going towards officials that public officials that do that. And I know that whose the borders are. He was saying the other day that anybody that helps immigrants or anybody that, aids, sends out alerts that we're coming or sends out maps or whatever, they'll be arrested. And these are officials. These are government officials doing this. He said they're going to be arrested. So he's no nonsense. I can't think of it. If anybody can think of his name, let me know in the comments. But it's not just Bondi. It's the immigration. What's his name? The head of ICE, the head of immigration, Homan. Yes, thank you, AC. Tom Homan. And so that guy's just no nonsense, and he's one of the few people that is taking this seriously the way it's supposed to be. So, anyways, that's kind of what's going on in my neck of the woods. And again, we're right down here by the border, so it's especially acute down here. But again, we'll see how that goes. So, and then I was going to give you something else here. And we will go with this. On the mudslides. Here we go.
Southern California is bracing for the most significant storm there in more than a year. It brings the risk of life-threatening debris flows and mudslides in fire-scarred areas in and around Los Angeles. Laura Aguirre shows us how they're preparing.
I think everybody needs to be aware and ready.
Ready for the massive third wave of a powerful winter blitz that's brought snow, ice, rain, flash flooding, and power outages to much of the central and eastern U.S. since Tuesday. In a matter of hours, those same conditions are expected to envelop most of the western half of the nation through Saturday. And in Southern California, that poses an especially dangerous threat.
The whole
Okay, so number 2 on the whammy here. Yeah, so that's it's funny. California is really a paradise. It really is. And but like anywhere else in the country, we have our issues. And everybody always talks about, whenever I'm in the Midwest or whatever, and I tell them from California, they always talk about earthquakes. And when my wife, who's from the Midwest, Indiana, is here, she fears earthquakes the most. And when I go back to the Midwest, I fear tornadoes the most. If I hear a tornado warning, a circular warning, I was at my sister-in-law's house, and there was a circular storm warning, and I panicked. I said, "Where's the basement?" And they said, "We don't have a basement." I'm like, well, what do we do? And they said, well, usually we lay down in the hallway with a mattress over ourselves. I'm like, I don't think that's going to do it. I saw Twister or whatever, you end up with playing cards lodged in your forehead or whatever. So I tend to panic at that kind of thing. But out here, I've never panicked about an earthquake in my life. When the ground starts shaking, it's probably happened. I could count the number of times it's happened in my life where I actually felt an earthquake. The thing out here is fires and then mudslides. And when I grew up in LA, and this was just a regular occurrence. We had fires like crazy, but they were always out in unpopulated areas. And but now those areas are populated and developed. So now the fires are raging through these neighborhoods. So, but then come the rains. And it's funny, if anywhere is not ready for rain, it's California. We do not know how to deal with rain. We had rain last two years previous to this. We had rainstorms that we couldn't handle. Atmospheric rivers, they're called. So it's funny when you live in paradise and it's just natural. You get complacent and you get lazy. When it seems like every single day is perfectly sunny and balmy, you just get lazy. But nature will have its way. God put these, I don't know if it's from a broken world that these things happen. I'm sure that floods and firestorms and tornadoes and stuff like that are a result of the fall. But we just don't know how to handle it. And it's becoming, LA is becoming just if it wasn't a mess before, it's turning into this giant dysfunctional mess where they don't know how to get out of their ways, their own ways. And Lucas is here. All right. You're a little late, better late than never, or better never than late. I can't, whichever way it goes. We're good to have you, Lucas. Good to have you here. So, I think that's just a natural complacency you get into. So here we go. AC, I was born in California throughout my life and kept hearing that the big one is going to come in California or break off and become its own island. Yeah, that was California breaking away, right? That was when I grew up with that too. And where you tell me where you're from, where you were born, AC, I'd be interested. But it's just that thing you get to, and the Bible talks about this a lot, about the sluggard. I'm not sure how exactly it applies, but that a little folding of the hands for rest, and trouble comes on you. And that's just the way it is here. Everything's wide open. The possibilities here are wide open. More so than, I was born here. I'm used to it. But when I go back to other parts of the country, I see why California is what it is. It's just the possibilities here, and mainly because of the weather. You don't have to deal with a lot of weather here. It just never gets in your way. I got this jacket on today. That's about all I ever have to do. And when it rains, we have had heavy rains the last 2 years, and we did not. We had a flood in my house. We had storm drains overflowing, and people's houses flooded out down here in San Diego area, and it was terrible. And we had government bailouts on that too. And government bailouts I'm going to talk about in a minute. But it's just, when you live in paradise, when you live easy, when trouble comes, you're just not prepared for it. And like I said, these fires and mudslides have been going on since I was a kid, and I'm no spring chicken. You guys know that. I'm not really showing off, Carrie. I'm bragging. So, but like I said, and it's no, reality hurts. I guess this is the way it is. I'm so blessed to live here, and it's so hard to leave here. If it wasn't for I live in San Diego County. Good Lord. How much more blessed can someone be? And it's so hard. Yeah, get it. There's a fine line between showing off and bragging. So, but thanks for calling me on it, Gary. I appreciate you. That keep me accountable here. But no, and it's just very tough to leave it. As crazy as it is out here, as dysfunctional as it is, you can see it with the immigration fight, and now we're worried about mudslides. And then there was also one other thing that I was going to show you. This right here. I'll bring it up. That now, you remember a couple of weeks ago, we talked about the insurance issues here, where right before the fires, a lot of insurance companies canceled the policies of these people. And it was a big scandal here because, people are saying all these rich insurance companies are pulling out, they have the money and they left these people hanging, which they did. But you got to understand their point of view. They saw all the uncut brush that had been growing for 30, 40, 50 years on the side of these hills right next to these houses. They saw homeless people in these canyons with fires, open fires, and drug paraphernalia and whatever else. They knew 80-mile-an-hour winds, 75, 80-mile hot winds they weren't even hot winds. They were cold winds. This was a winter Santa Ana, which was cold winds. In the fall, these Santa Anas are hot winds, and then it would, I think all of LA would have burned if that would happen. But so the insurance companies pulled out because they knew what was coming. And it's kind of like a health insurance company. They give you health insurance, but if you get a checkup and you're 50 pounds overweight and smoking 3 packs a day, they're going to cancel your policy. We can't take that risk. That's an unreasonable risk for us to take. That's what the insurance companies did. They saw the conditions in LA, and they heard the warnings that the fire officials were giving, and they said, we can't take this risk. If this is going to happen, and we are going to go bankrupt. So they canceled all these policies. So California instituted, they have this thing called FAIR insurance, which is California public insurance. And that was supposed to cover these. Anybody that didn't have insurance could get covered by FAIR. But now, as we see here, FAIR plan to assess insurers $1 billion for LA fires. Consumers may be on the hook for nearly half. So what's happening is the California Insurance Commission, which regulates the insurers here in California, is going to charge the insurers $1 billion because this government agency that was supposed to insure these people has gone bankrupt. So this is, the government can't even do it. This is an impossible situation. Insurance already is an impossible situation in California. We're very worried that we won't be able to get insurance going forward. The insurance companies have paid so much on fires and floods here that I think they're kind of at the end of their rope when it looks like at their books. And people say, oh, they've made billions of dollars. Yes, they have, but they've also paid out billions of dollars. And they're in the insurance business. They're in the risk business. And if they're going to take a risk, they need to know that the risk is reasonable. And if the risk is not reasonable, and they're putting their company or their stakeholders, whatever, call it whatever you want, that's the reality of it. They can't do it. So the state steps in and tries to do it, and the state can't do it either. And now it's going to come to the insurance companies, which are going to pass it on to consumers. So, prices here in California are going to do nothing but go just straight up for everything. And insurance is going to be the one. And if you can't get insurance, you can't get a mortgage. You can't drive. You can't do much of anything without insurance. And there's a lot of people that are going without insurance, and I don't, just crossing their fingers that won't happen to them, I guess. No, we did not lose our insurance. We're not in a high fire area. We're closer to the coast, but although, what am I saying? Closer to the coast. Pacific Palisades was right on the coast, but down here where we are, the fires usually are to the east. Out in El Cajon, where my friend, his friend who's my friend who's the mayor of El Cajon, that area is really fire prone. But that doesn't mean we're immune to it. I mean, it could happen to us. Give us a day like that. The days that happen up in LA, we didn't have that severe winds down here. But yes, we could easily be in a firestorm here. But so Cali didn't do what they needed to do. The insurance companies warned them once. Yes, they did. They absolutely did. And they say, everyone will blame State Farm and others. California did not prepare for years for fires. Yeah. And you know what it was? It's this crazy leftist mentality we have here that we're going to let everything be natural. Don't cut the brush. Certainly don't do pre-burns on the brush. Safety burns or whatever they call it, to thin out the control burns. Control burns used to be done all the time. They used to have fire breaks cut into the hills when I was a kid. It was ugly. There's big X's. I remember big X's in the hillsides to stop the fires. If fire came, then that brush helped the firefighter stop it. But here's an idea. The residents should sue the state. The state is stupid for their environmental rules. Yes, quote unquote environmental. So, but that's what the state is beholden to. They're beholden to environmentalists, and environmentalists, I stopped giving them credit for being having good intentions long ago. They're just out of touch with reality. They really don't know how the world works and how life, and they certainly don't care about the consequences of their political moves and their political influence and what the laws that they get passed, put it that way. So, and then, so that's, again, it's just life in California. Half the time you're in this, don't mean to brag, but you're in this paradise. And then it just can't help but be dysfunctional, because when you're in this environment, you can be stupid for a while. You can be stupid for a lot longer than you can be in the Midwest or the South or the East Coast. Not that there's not stupid going on back there, but it's acute here. I think it's kind of acute in Hawaii too. Hawaii is even probably worse. They had gotten so complacent. I've been loosely following Lahaina and Maui. That was the worst fire I've ever even heard of. That was worse than we even had here. That beautiful little city of Lahaina just completely destroyed by fire, and people running into the ocean to get away from the fire. But when you live in, like I said, when you live in these kind of really ideal climates, I guess you never pay for stupid, so your stupid just gets bigger, if that makes sense. So, yes, it is beautiful. Yep. But we need to wake up. I don't think we're going to. I'll put it that way. So again, El Cajon was the only city to do that. So, and then I'll end my California episode with this little gem. Here we are here. Add that to the stage. And then,
could California get turned into one big Solvang?
A campaign has been launched in Denmark to acquire the state. An online petition being called Denmarkification is seeking to raise $1 trillion for Denmark to purchase California. It asks all Danes to contribute a hefty equivalent of $18,000 each to make it happen. The campaign says if purchased, California would be instilled with Danish values and the name would be changed to New Denmark.
Okay, so there you have it. I'm not sure why Denmark wants us, honestly. But, I guess everybody's got a price, but I still don't think it would happen. But I think it's an interesting move on Denmark's part. I like it, actually. Even though, excuse me. Okay. Even though, it's obviously a little jab at Trump and us. Somebody made a comment on that. But yeah, so maybe someone, someone who wants to buy California, maybe it would be hard to stop, I think they're just screwing with Trump. But if there's one guy in the world you don't screw with on this kind of thing, is Donald Trump. But and it's an online petition. Obviously, it's not the Danish government. I wish it was. I would love to follow that in the news and just see what they were willing to do. And they said, will it turn into one big Solvang? And if you don't know what Solvang is, it's up in the middle of the state, up near Santa Barbara area, and it's this little Danish village that is. When the first time you go to it is very cute, and it's this Tyrolean kind of Hans Christian Andersen, right? Kind of little village, and it's got that kind of architecture, and it's got the German restaurants and the Danish pastries and all this kind of stuff. As I do Danish restaurants, but to me, it all looks German. But yeah, so new Denmark or Hans Christian Andersen land. I think it said, I don't know if I played it that far, but no, actually, yes. Oh, I'm sorry. they said, let's see if we can go on with this. You guys got to hear this.
It also promises to turn Disneyland into Hans Christian Andersen Land, complete with a Viking helmet wearing Mickey Mouse. Without saying so, the petition comes in response to President Trump's desire for the U.S. to acquire Greenland.
Okay, so yeah, Hans Christian Andersen Land. So you had a whoops. So I don't know if you're hearing this, but I had something going there. So yeah, so I think it's fun. I think it's interesting. I'm interested in how Trump will react to that and whether he really is going to buy Greenland, which I think is a very serious idea and I think is a good idea. And I'd be interested to see if that happens too. Buying Greenland was not the first. It's not the first time we've tried to buy Greenland. I vaguely remember when I was a kid that Gerald Ford had brought up the same thing, that we should have Greenland obviously for security reasons. I'm not sure how much it is as like minerals and things like that can be mined, but that's what I hear is behind it too, is that Greenland is so mineral rich. And this is what Trump does. He says, hey, we're going to buy Greenland, or we're going to, make Canada the 50th state. These are opening gambits in negotiations, right? It's the part of the art of the deal. And so I love that Greenland or that Denmark is playing along with the art of the deal, even if they are messing with Trump. So, but I just thought that was an interesting thing, that is dysfunctional as we are in California here, as much as we can't get much right, somebody still wants us. So I don't think the rest of the country would cry if California went off to Denmark or whatever, and they might want to come and get Mickey Mouse helmets with horns on them. That's something I would go for, even if they don't. Somebody's got to make Mickey Mouse ears with horns on it now. So, but so Lucas, they're saying Trudeau is more interested in Canada joining the EU than being the 51st state. Yeah, that I could see that happening for Canada being a 51st state. But hey, we did, and we didn't want Canada. Trump doesn't want Canada, but he did get them to have border agents on their border stopping the flow of drugs and immigrants. So that's what he was going after. And feel bad for Canada. Don't feel bad for Canada. They vote for it. I don't feel bad for anybody that votes for this kind of nonsense. I have a Canadian neighbor and he thinks it's great. So he thinks Trudeau's great. So you get what you vote for. And Lucas, I'm with you. I'd rather have California be part of the U.S. than Denmark. But although Solvang is a nice place to visit, you get tired of Solvang real quick. You get tired of Disneyland too. But although these things tend to turn into tourist traps. So that is basically the California report, the California story for this week. Again, we've got an immigration fight on our hands. We've got mudslides coming. We've got an insurance disaster looming. I don't know how that's going to turn out at all. That's the most serious thing we have, I think, here in California, is the threat of everyone losing their insurance. But the good news is Denmark's making a play for us. So can't wait for those horned Mickey Mouse ears. So maybe someday I'll invite you all out to Hans Christian Andersen Land, and we'll ride the wooden shoe ride or whatever it will be. So thanks for tuning in. Thanks for putting up with my voice and me struggling through. I won't be here tomorrow with Ben and Michael, but I will be here next Thursday and then next Friday. So thanks for tuning in, guys. We'll see you next week.